74 years ago today, it is likely that a kid my age, or me personally, would be chugging into battle, approaching the beaches of Normandy with a gun in my hand and my peers to my left and my right. The wheels would spin, the gates would open, and I would likely be met with a hail of machine gun fire from a German soldier the age of my dad. However sad and terrifying this may be, the invasion of Normandy, the D-Day invasion, changed the course of the world and changed the course of World War II as we know it. To grasp the true scale, I will explain to you first the preparation and teamwork taken by the coalition forces of the United States of America, Australia, and England. Second, I will explain the fighting, the loss of life, and some of the strategies used. Third, I will explain the strategic importance of the Allies establishing a beachhead in Europe. First, the vast amount of manpower and creativity used, according to James Holland, a CNN columnist who dubbed the D-Day invasion Operation Overlord, was astounding. This represents the largest Allied invasion, the largest invasion alone of all time in all of human history, taken on by the United States and England. Many creative strategies were used. First, to gain an edge, the United States and England built an entire full-scale inflatable army. This army, according to Megan Garber, columnist for The Atlantic, was so convincing and detailed down to the patch on the soldier's uniform that it convinced Hitler that the beach was secure that we invaded, the beaches of Normandy that we invaded were in fact secure, and that we were going to move our forces elsewhere. These armies themselves were so detailed that not only were the patches on the uniforms of the soldiers, or the fake soldiers, correct, but they had the numbers on the tanks that matched the ID numbers to real tanks in combat. Second, according to Joe Carter, a columnist for the Ethics of Religious Liberty Commission, the attack began at midnight with more than 2,200 B-2 bombers bombing the entirety of France. It was followed then again that night with 1,200 more aircraft loaded with more than 24,000 paratroopers. You can see these paratroopers with their B-2 bomber pictured here. The next morning, 160,000 troops landed on Normandy. This included 73,000 American young men. The loss of life was unprecedented for the Allies at the time. On the first day, within hours, more than 10,000 Allies lost their lives. In the subsequent following weeks, the Germans lost 240,000 troops, with a furthermore astounding 200,000 troops being captured. Moreover, there were civilian casualties as well. On the first day of Operation Overlord, as many French civilians were killed by American bombs as Americans died on the beaches of Normandy. Moving on, the creation of a beachhead in Europe is what changed everything about the war. Here is a picture of the Allied beachhead of Normandy. Next, here is a picture of a destroyed German machine gun bunker on one of the beaches in Normandy. According to James Warren, a columnist with the Daily Beast, opening a second beachhead in Normandy and Europe is what sealed Hitler's fate and what saved the entire world from oppressive Nazi rule. Moving forward, the most commendable part of the invasion is the bravery exhibited by the young men of the Allied forces who ran into hails of machine gun fire with exploding sand and shrapnel flying all around on the beaches of Normandy. I covered a few aspects of the invasion in my presentation. First, I discussed the logistical resources used by the Allies to carry out such an exercise, to follow through with the largest invasion of all of mankind. Second, I informed of the events of D-Day through loss of life, civilian casualties, weapons of war used, and the amount of men seen in this invasion, whether they were killed, captured, or involved. Finally, I explained the importance whether it be morally for the men in terms of keeping their morale, or strategically from a strategic military perspective in relation to the Nazis and their fight in the east with the Russians and their new fight on the west with the Allies. I explain the strategic importance of establishing a beachhead in Europe. Finally, to close, our duty as Americans and our duty as citizens of the world today is to remember and honor the young men and the women who sacrificed so much during this time, with either be their lives, their time, their bodies, and everything that went into that war and the attack on Normandy. Here is a picture of the memorial to memorialize D-Day. This invasion effectively and strategically delivered the entire world from darkness. Before this invasion, before 1944, the 6th of November, the 6th of August, the 6th of June, before then, it was unsure where the Nazis would fall. It was unsure if the Nazi regime would win and achieve world power, or whether or not they would fail. After the 6th of June 1944, it was sure that the road to the Allied victory was only a matter of time. Thank you.
I want to know, when you